this is Dragon Videos. I hope y'all are doing well, and I hope some of you are Winnie the Pooh fans because this one is going to be a bit different. That's right, we're going to talk about Winnie the Pooh. Last year in 2023, it had been announced that Winnie the Pooh would no longer be part of the Disney industry and belong to the general public. While on the one hand, we won't have to deal with copyright from Disney in regards to Winnie the Pooh, the downside is that there are some people who've been taking some liberties with that. So I wanted to talk a bit more about what Winnie the Pooh can be incorporated in terms of modern times, as well as what it can mean for the film industry in general. Bear in mind, I'm going to use a few examples from some of the old Winnie the Pooh films that I know of that could help give some incorporation and what could be meaning for in the modern day. So without further ado, let's begin. So, the moment that Winnie the Pooh went to the public domain, it somehow became a victim to a slasher film in terms of a horror genre, which was known as Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and to make matters worse, it created a sequel and a whole freaking monsterverse. While it seems a very fine and dandy idea to explore the horror aspect of Winnie the Pooh, it probably could have done better if it wasn't a slasher. I'm not usually a horror film aficionado and those sorts of things, but as far as I could see, there were tons of slasher films, some that I could even see in the YouTube commercials. So I feel like it's overused. What Winnie the Pooh could have done in terms of a horror genre would be more of a psychological or dark fantasy, because it is something with a bit more freedom to go over the concepts of innocence and some of the harm Winnie the Pooh could potentially do to a person mentally, emotionally, and such. And of course, with psychological horror, this definitely explores the concept of the mind, where Winnie the Pooh could have been offered as an ideal hallucination of where our imaginations could be at their worst. So it could have been a very good, solid potential for that to happen in the franchise. Now, the only thing I could think of that would ever work well with Winnie the Pooh was just exploring more of the themes in a more adult tone. The times of exploring everyday life, learning how to breathe every once in a while, and just looking into the simplicities of things. And that can be easier said than done. But I feel like there are at least two Winnie the Pooh films, one from the 1990s as well as one in 2018, that really are pretty successful in terms of representing that. For me, Christopher Robin seemed an ideal film that represents the concepts of adult life, making Christopher Robin relatable of all of his struggles, dealing with his father's death, having to go through war, and now trying to raise a family, as well as trying to make sure a business is working properly after recovering from the shambles of World War II. So, yeah, that's a lot for one guy to take on. So when Winnie the Pooh comes into play, there's a lot of symbolism in this, and I recommend if you would check out Christopher Robin's symbolism, because I would go more in depth in terms of what I'm saying now. There is a lot of heavy concepts that talks about what it means to live your life, having to deal with growing up, and how to make sure that the struggles of our daily lives doesn't consume us and disrupt our social anxieties. And of course, with Winnie the Pooh's grand adventure, The Search for Christopher Robin, this explored the concept of fear, dealing with the unknown, especially death itself. So, these two films, though different timelines, definitely go over very dark and adult concepts. I mean, when we're dealing with an older audience, that's usually the toughest thing when you're going over the concepts of innocence as well as just learning of how to enjoy friendship and our daily lives to the fullest. And it can be a bit of an issue because you can't always please everyone, but you also can't exactly ignore something that Winnie the Pooh represents, which is something that a lot in this world needs right now. So, in a lot of ways, Winnie the Pooh has been around for so many years, and I hope it does continuing so. It had been a very cherished Disney character, bringing off a simplicity that we have longed to see, as well as just someone we can rely on when things get down. And I do hope that we get to see better results later on in the future, both as adults and moving forward. So these are just my thoughts, and I'd like to hear yours. What do you think the future will hold for Winnie the Pooh? Do a like, subscribe. This is Dragon Videos signing off.